Welcome back to Across the Board with E and the Colonel, or the Colonel and E. It depends on where you're sitting. Here on hawkradio.org and acrosstheboardradio.com. We always love to bring you the biggest bands in the entire world and the best up-and-coming bands as well. And a good source besides us for bands that are up-and-coming would be bands or publications like Spin Magazine and even Alternative Press. Alternative Press is one of the biggest ones out there. Colonel, you read this article. You want to talk about this?
Yeah, they had just recently put out an article saying the 100 bands you need to know. Mm-hmm. And this band was listed, and I looked at all this, and this was the band that stood out to me the most.
Okay.
And they're called Wolves at the Gate, and we have Steve on the line with us. He's going to talk to us a little more about the band. And how's things going with you today, Steve?
Going good, man. I'm excited to talk to you guys. So, yeah.
And, you know, I mean, we were talking off air about this, and you just talk about how surreal it is to hear publications such as Alternative Press bring you guys into the limelight and give you this kind of exposure. What was your initial reaction when you found out they were doing this piece on you?
I mean, I was pumped because there's a 7-Eleven right by my house in New Jersey that I went to every month for the new AP, and I've been like buying that magazine since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So it was naturally really cool because I always checked out the top 100 bands, and I went and checked out their music, and so that was like really weird to see our band there because out of all the bands in this country, and and Europe too, we've got a lot of European bands there. Like I just thought it was crazy that they picked us because there's so many good bands out there. So we were like really humbled by that for sure.
Well, that brings up a more important question, your story there, which is what flavor Slurpee did you get?
I usually did. I'm one of those guys that did the Suicide, if you're familiar.
Yeah.
I don't know the Suicide. What's that?
One of each flavor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you just mix it up because I liked all of them equally. It was like they're like my kids. You know, like I didn't want to pick favorites over another, so I said, I want to love you equally, and I'll put you all in my Slurpee cup.
I try to do that with women, actually. That's my motto there, but in any case, I like the cherry Coke myself. Go.
You know, I mean,
that's a good one.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where, you know, I know you read the article and you see this, and there's definitely a surreal feeling, but at the same time, I think it's well deserved. I mean, to be honest with you, like we were talking about off air, who they compared you to in the article wasn't an accurate reflection. But once you listen to your music, you get a good idea of what the band is about. How would you describe the band to people who have not listened to you at this point?
Well, I guess like I could start a little bit like with my personal influences. Like I grew up listening to bands like Thrice and Thursday and Taking Back Sunday, Brand New, because I grew up in New Jersey for almost all my life, and so like those bands were huge in the area. I live in the next town over from the guys that were in Thursday, so naturally I was just like super crazy fanboy kid.
Excellent.
And I just loved like the way they wrote lyrics and the way they wrote songs. Like the songs were songs. Like they all had like something like different about them. Nothing really like, I don't know. When you listen to those albums, like if you listen to like a Visu by Thrice or War All the Time by Thursday, like, you know, the albums flow, but the songs are also different. And like that's what got me into music, was watching those bands play live and the way they wrote songs. And so I kind of like, I wanted to take like, you know, obviously this is like 2012, and I want, you know, we like relevant, heavier music. And so I just wanted to take a little bit of that, but mostly like what got me into music. So like we are a lot more melodic than a lot of the heavier bands out there. Mm-hmm. But like that's because that's what I grew up like loving.
Yeah.
And
I think it's interesting what you bring from Jersey to the band, because the rest of the band is from Ohio. Now, Ohio is pretty much the hardcore and post-hardcore capital of the world, with, you know, Chimera and you know, My Ticket Home and Devil Wears Prada. So many of these bands are
all them.
Miss May I, all of our boys and good friends of the show as well. But Jersey has kind of an eclectic mix coming up. You've got you've got our boys God Forbid, which is a heavy band. You've got Gaslight Anthem, which is, you know, an entire, just a genre to themselves. They're like an updated Bruce Springsteen. So, you know, what is it in Jersey that makes everything so diverse? Is it that you have, you know, Philly and New York so close to you and a lot of influences there, or what is it?
Yeah, I'd say probably because, like, I live in, like, northeastern New Jersey, and I'm, like, due west of Manhattan. So like it's just like a melting pot for all like different ethnicities and stuff like that. Like, you know, when I got to Ohio, like, you know, obviously it's mostly like, you know, white suburban.
Right.
But, you know, when it comes to like ethnicity, but you know, out here in New Jersey, it's just you've got every it's like the UN, man. It's like you've got every like nationality represented here, and I don't know, like so many different kids that I grew up with showed me different music, and you just get influenced by, I guess, different genres and different styles. And it's not that it's not out there in Ohio, but like it's such a densely populated area that like, you know, I think that you get a little bit more of an intensified like variety.
So, being Northern Jersey, this makes you a New York Giants fan. Is this correct?
Sure does, man, and a happy fan.
Listen to him. Listen to this front runner right here, man. Yeah, right.
My girlfriend's a Giants fan. So I've had to hear it all season long so far.
If she existed, that would be relevant.
Hey, well, I'm not one of those fans that gloats because I don't play for the team, so I feel like I don't have a right to like hold that over anybody's head. But I am pumped that we won the Super Bowl. So.
Well, yeah, that makes you smart because a lot of people do that. They're like, we won. You didn't win anything. You're not on the
I did
win.
win
anything. Did you ever go to a game? No, you didn't. You watched on TV.
That's right.
I did win because I won the season before. I'm a Packers fan.
Oh, yeah.
So
see,
I
there's
held
a rivalry there.
Right, I held it over my girlfriend's head for the last year. Now she's turned around and she's got it on me. So, you know, I guess that's karma, right?
Yeah, fair.
And, you know, so let's get back to the music a little bit. So, Steve, obviously you do vocals and guitar in the band. Mm-hmm. What do you look for when you're chasing tone? You know, every guitarist, bassist chases tone and will forever. But what do you look for when you're trying to dial in your sound?
Again, like my ear for like tone is definitely shaped by like what I grew up listening to, and kind of our goal is to like so many bands we play with, like their gain is on 11, and it's like super raunchy, and like it sounds awesome and it's good for that, but like for us, you know, we've tried to take a different approach because we want to just, I don't know, every band's trying to sound different, and we brought that to our gear too. Like both Jeremy and I, who's our other guitarist, we play Telecasters quite a bit for most of our set, and it's not classically known as like a hardcore guitar.
Correct.
But like we tried to like shape our tone around that because it's got like a really cool punchy tone to it. And nothing like the Nashville Tellies, more like the American. I have a Mexican Telly that's like I got for $300, but it just sounds like crazy good. And
that's awesome.
I just recently bought a blacktop baritone Telly that I love because we play in lower tunings, and it's not because we're super brutal, but I just want to make sure, like, whatever key we're playing in, I can actually sing live. So,
that's a great consideration,
Yeah, well, because I've been to those shows, and I've heard those bands play, and I'm just like, man, if you just, like, went down, like, maybe a half step, maybe a full step, this song would be, like, in your range. And everyone's just, like, you know, kind of rolling their eyes at the singer. And to me, like, kids don't pay good money to watch us, like, not deliver what we do on the record. Like, I don't ever want to be that band, and I don't know. I just have so much respect for the bands that I grew up watching that like recorded albums without auto-tune and like, you know, they can sing, they can play, and I want to be like that. I don't want to like lie to kids and say, look how cool we sound on the record, and come see us play live, and they're just like, for real?
Right. That's incredibly important for you to note because a lot of bands don't care about that, and we're big fans of the bands who do. I mean, Colonel and I have been to several shows that. Well, some bands don't sound good recorded and they sound good live, and then a lot of bands sound great on their albums, and then when you see them live, like you said, are just falling apart. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Right. And Steve, you have a lot of very good information. You seem to be very educated not only about, you know, the music industry itself, but the theory of music and the technicalities involved in music. Where did you get any of that background? Did you go to school for it at all?
No. Well, like my mother is like extremely musical, and she's a great singer, and she like played piano, and I grew up playing saxophone, so I learned to read sheet music through doing that.
Right.
And I realized once I got to 9th or 10th grade that I would much rather play guitar, and so I kind of phased out of that and kind of took some of that knowledge with me. But I don't know, so many kids like get into the music scene like when they're like 16. And they're, like, playing shows with their band. Like, Wolves of the Gate is my first band I ever played in. And it was, like, the first time I ever sang, first time I really ever played in front of people. And I just spent most of my life like going to shows and kind of just like analyzing guys and like what I loved about a band. I tried to like pick apart and find those things. Like, you know, I'd watch Thrice a lot, and I'd watch the way like Pepe would play guitar and the way Dustin would sing, and you know, I don't know, just trying to like pick out the things that I loved about their band and all the other bands I go to watch, and how they perform, how they write music, and kind of just like make it my own, you know.
Now, your band has 2 vocalists, which is unique. It's rare these days. There are bands that have it, Linkin Park and 311 and bands like that, but it's not the norm. How do you decide between yourself and Colin who's going to sing what lyrics?
I guess a lot of it, like, well, for one thing, Colin actually is no longer in the band, just an FYI.
Oh, good.
Nothing bad. He stepped down in December of last year just because he's married and he has two little girls.
Tough
and,
to be on the road.
He could no longer tour with us.
Right.
And so we were like totally cool with that. Our new guy, his name's Nick Deddy. He's a young guy, just extremely talented. Colin loves him. We made sure that Colin approved of his vocals before he got the okay.
That's cool.
But anyway, I guess going back to that, the question basically is like, I don't know, like I really want like what I say and what I'm singing to like make sense with like the way it sounds. That means anything. Like if there's a part that's supposed to be more intense in the song, like a lot of times like it calls for screaming, it calls for like a darker aspect of the song or a heavier part. And so I really try and like mold the music to the lyrics or the lyrics to the music.
Okay.
Yeah. That sounds like, I mean, to be honest with you, you know, again, it sounds like everything about the band has been so intelligently thought out, and I think there's a lack of that when it comes to some of the bands lately. They just don't think about the things that they do, and the fact that you put that consideration into who the next vocalist is and getting the approval from the previous vocalist, I mean, that says a lot about who you guys are as a band and who you are as people as well, because that just, you have the big picture in mind, and that's what a band needs to really succeed, and I think you guys are well on your way to do that.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Steve, Wolves at the Gate is the band. We Are the Ones. That EP has just been re-released through Solid State Records, and that's out there for purchase right now. But you have another album coming up soon as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about that. Go ahead, hit us.
Yeah, I'm so excited about the new record. Like, with the EP, it's cool because, like, it's kind of like, I just look at it as like a ball of energy. Like, you've got, like, 5 tracks to, like, do your best and put your best foot forward.
Right.
And, you know, like I feel really confident about like what we did with the EP, but when we were done with it, I was like, you know, I just kind of looked at it and I was like, I'm proud of this, but like we could do more and we can be more expansive and like, I don't know, writing songs that show a wider variation of like who we are as a band and what we can create. And that's what I'm so excited about the full length. You know, we've got 11, you know, new tracks and they kind of like, it sounds bad when you say they go all over the place, but like I really feel like we touched a lot of the like different styles of music or aspects of the genre that we've loved in the past. Like there's going to be songs that are like a lot heavier than you heard on the EP, but there's going to be songs that are not as heavy. They're more like rock songs.
Okay.
And,
a little variety, good.
Yeah, and I just, for me, like I want to mix it up because I got to play it, I got to write it, so I want something that is going to keep like fresh for me, like when we play live, you know, it doesn't get stale. And
for sure.
Also for the kids, like I don't know, I want to bring back heavier music to the place where like more people can enjoy it, because sometimes I feel like a little bit it's like going down a road of like who can be the most brutal when it's heavy and who can be like the most melodic and catchy and pop like when they're singing.
Yeah,
and
right.
I don't know, I want it to be something where like anybody off the street can like listen to it, take it for what it is, and hopefully enjoy it. You know, I want to like widen the spectrum of what people of who would listen to our music. You know?
I'm sold. I'm looking forward to hearing this album right now. Couple questions here. Then, where can people see you guys on tour coming up in the next year or so?
All right. Well, this summer, everything's solidified pretty much out into August. Like, we're going to be at a number of festivals. Like, out on the East Coast, we're going to be at Creation Festival, which is going to be awesome. And we're going to be doing just a northeast run for about 9 days with O Sleeper to get out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great band as well.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you don't have their record, pick that one up too. 'Cause that one is unreal.
And they are a heavy band. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, and they're awesome guys too. Actually, Shane, the vocalist and guitarist from O Sleeper, did guest vocals on one of our songs.
Nice.
Called Slaves. So be on the lookout for that. He did an awesome job. Yeah, and then we're going to be we're also going to be at Cornerstone Festival in the Midwest. It's actually the last year they're doing Cornerstone. They're closing up shop, which is crazy. That festival's been around forever. And in July we're going to be all over the West Coast because we're doing Creation Northwest out there as well.
Okay.
So if anybody checks our Facebook, it's all going to be up there. So.
Yep, and that's easy to find. It's Wolves at the Gate. It's facebook.com/Wolves at the Gate, all one word. This is a question we like to ask a lot of our guests. Steve, if you knew the world was about to end for any particular reason in 10, 15 minutes or so, what would be the last song you'd want to hear?
The last song I'd want to hear? You mean like, when you say the last song, like, is that like a bad last song or just like a good last
it's
song?
Just,
whichever way you want it to be. I mean,
the last music you'll ever hear.
What would be ideally the music you'd want to hear going out the door?
This is a tough one. I would have to say, like, this is the one song that's always, like, mellowed me out and has been really, like, chill, is Fix You by Coldplay.
Okay.
Nice.
I love hearing that song. That's, like, the mellow side. If I was going to pick, like, something that was, like, really heavy that I was just going to, like, rock out to until the world ends is Condemned by As I Lay Dying. That's probably my favorite, like, heavy song that was ever been written. When I heard that record, I was like, this is officially the heaviest song I've ever heard.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, As I Lay Dying, good friends of the show as well. Jordan and the band, they're great guys. And yourself, also college educated, which is, I think, unique in a lot of bands these days as well. So,
strangely enough.
Yeah, right? So, well, and we definitely appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you guys on tour. Again, Wolves at the Gate, and We Are the Ones. That EP is out right now. Go get that as a warm-up. Steve, we appreciate the time today. That's the Colonel. I'm E. We'll be back here in a few minutes here on Across the Board on hawkradio.org.
And acrosstheboardradio.com.